Good evening, everybody. We are live. Tonight is Power Couple's first ever live stream event. My name is Joseph. Thank you very much for being here this evening, and I'm going to be your host for this live stream. Again, this is Power Couple's first live stream ever. I'm going to be playing for you guys tonight a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV. I'm picking the game back up after a long hiatus away. I really honestly first started playing this game back when it was originally released, and it's come a long way since that point. The mechanics have made this basically do a complete 180. It used to be the laughingstock of the MMO community. It is now one of the leading MMOs, at least in my opinion, and it's why it's one of the major items in my, I guess you could say, game list that I really am hoping to bring to you guys. I started a new character maybe about a couple of weeks ago. The majority of the leveling is on Paladin, but we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at to doing the main story quest so we can make our way over to Ishgard. We're hoping to complete a good portion this evening if we can. Try at that point in time to get access to the Dark Knight, try to get access to extra classes that I still cannot unlock absent getting that far. So again, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. We're going to just jump right into the game. So again, thank you so much, and let's get down to business. Alright, so I guess this is my time to introduce you guys to my new character. I'm a little bit of a James Bond fan, so I went with Roger Moore rather than going with something a little more in tune with my own personal name. And everyone's favorite part of logging into Final Fantasy XIV is finding out that your character actually can't log in because the world is full and there's a queue behind you. So we'll give it about 30 seconds. Hopefully we'll get right back in and we can start going. Obviously, as you guys can see, I've got a hero who's a Midlander. I tried to do something similar to like my birthday, which is January 30th, being the 30th son of the first astral moon. And you can see currently he's a level 53 paladin. Most of the classes, again, minus the ones that require going through again, all the way up to Ishgard to get those extra classes. I have all those classes. They're all 30 or above. Now, it's been a couple of weeks since I've actually logged on to the game, so I'm not entirely certain where I left off, so I'm hoping to get my bearings straight and be able to guide you guys as I move forward. So I must say, you know, again, this is one of my favorite games to play. One that I really want to bring to you guys on a regular basis, and through and through, in my original character that I had with Final Fantasy XIV, it's always been a tank. I've got to be a tank. I just, not that I'm, you know, lacking in terms of my ability of playing a DPS or playing as a healer, but you get to control the battle when you are a tank. You get to be able to control the pace of everything, and essentially the responsibility of making sure that your team stays alive obviously is shared with your healer, but if you're not a good tank, you're essentially not going to gather hate. There's no enmity that you're going to be gathering. Your DPSs are going to get slaughtered. You're going to end up getting your healers getting slaughtered. And again, that's one of the major elements that, really, if you get a good tank, one who's able to pull effectively, one who's able to really go out of their way to make even lower level dungeons, and that's when you know you really have got a good tank on your hands, is if you've got someone who can bring you onto the lower level dungeons, and you can really, really take on a fair amount of the monsters that are in there without having to hoard. And I think when you run into a tank like that, I know I get excited when I'm on my DPSs or if I'm on my healer. I know that that's a real enjoyment. So I try to provide that same type of experience to fellow players when I'm in these dungeons as well. So once we get through this, we're going to report back. My apologies, guys. I'm not trying to turn this into an ASMR video. So you'll have to bear with me, guys. This is my first time streaming, my first time doing this. I've put a good amount of work into making sure that we did our homework before getting into it, but this is going to be a bit of a test. We're going to be doing this as we go, and I will take some breaks in the very near future so we can test out some other items that I have for you guys, and hopefully, again, be able to confirm and make sure that this is going to be a great experience for you moving forward. Alright, so The reward for finishing Fireworks and Fish Don't Mix is you can take your Allegan Silver piece, we can get a Hero's Bracelet of Aiming, Hero's Bracelet of Slaying, or a Hero's Bracelet of Fending. Fending being more for your tank, Slaying being for your DPSs, and Aiming I'm going to assume being around area for your Archer. I'm going to go with the Fending. I think that's going to be more in line with my guy. We'll take Falk Brida, I'm assuming cousin of Lowrida. We're going to see what he's got for his next. Scouts in Distress. There's a growing ever more agitated by the minute. Alright, so we're hoping to find any wounded soldiers along the way. If we need to, get those who are down in the line of action, and more importantly, give a Maelstrom Restorative health potion to a wounded Storm Private. See, I have to admit that I am looking forward to getting to level 60, I think is the requirement, hopefully not 70. I'll be pretty sad if when I hit 60 I find out the level is 70 to get the Gunbreaker class. I know, I always thought, we're talking, you know, again, back before the Gunbreaker was announced, looking at all of the I guess the Garlean Empire baddies that you had to fight during the main scenario, to see that all of their weapons had guns attached to it, you know, definitely hinted at them being, you know, Gunblade users, and it just ultimately was cool at the time, but it kind of made me wonder if we'd be able to take on the Gunblade role, and thankfully for us, we now can. So I think that's going to end up being my main once I'm able to get a hold of the class. I think that'll be my main tank. I'm thinking in terms of DPS, I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot probably for a Dragoon. That would probably be what I would want to end up going and maining for DPS. That, or it would be Bard. But I am interested in and really happy to try out Dancer in the near future too. And I think as far as healers are concerned, I'm kind of, I know it's opinions, right? So I know a lot of people feel like, you know, the White Mage is not the most effective healer, and that perhaps maybe the Astrologist is the better class, but for me, I'm a fan of being the White Mage. Just something about when you really get to know the Conjurer class, and you're leveling it up, and you're going through the story. I kind of grow a little bit more of an attachment to the Conjurer, and then obviously the White Mage that comes afterwards, instead of the, you know, astrology storyline. Alright, so now we are looking for the missing scouts within the Serpent's Tongue. Something tells me that the ominous purple circle of death is where we're going to find them. Unfortunately, they're dead. R.I.P. Rest in peace. I don't think they're gonna mind if I end up doing the Circle of Scorn. They're pretty dead. Alright, well, R.I.P. We barely knew ye. And of course, there's a hostile presence. Let's go after the archer first, just because nobody likes them. Now let's go after the pugilist. And now the warrior. See, when you get to, you know, a particular level and you're doing story quests that you're far out leveling for, it doesn't matter what order you decide to take on the different guys. But I'm still a traditionalist in the sense that when I'm doing the missions, I like to go after the DPSs first, or more importantly, you go healer, DPS, and then you go for the tank. I'm not in any danger at the moment. I'm sure when I get to more higher ranked story quests, I'll need to really make sure I'm on my game, but because I'm out leveled for it, I'm not really in any particular danger. Alright, so I'm going to be lazy actually. I'm going to teleport back to Ailport, and then I'm going to ride back rather than going through. It's a little bit shorter, it'll save me a little bit of time. So, as a returning player, I think one thing that really gets me excited about playing is when I stop on the map or I'm in a new map and I see the add-on quest here. So I know when you're doing leaves that they're more of the boring, and it's really good for leveling for your earlier characters, but when you see something like that where it's serious business and it opens up a harder level of a dungeon that you've already completed, or it opens up a new game mechanic that you haven't got yet, I think it's just it's really cool that you find these things. It's really it just makes it where you get excited to say, oh, there's more to this game that I don't already have, and now this is my chance to get it. Oh, by the way, right now he's currently very upset and sleeping at the moment, but we do have a corgi. Not this guy here. This one's a little bit different. We got a tricolor. His name's Cooper, and we'll eventually be getting him on the stream, but right now he's enjoying a little bit of a nap. Although actually I think I just woke him up. He's actually right here next to me. And I think when he's a little bit more awoke and happier, we'll get him in front of the camera for you guys. Uh-oh, I received a free company invite. Righty a QC. Let's, just for the hell of it, let's see what we got. What are the details? Alright, so we've got Heroes United. Let's see, the master is Itsumade Takashi. I'm going to assume that that's a Naruto fan. Of rank 8, fair enough. Members 80, yeah, 48, okay, 48. 9 are online at the moment. They've got the Takashi Castle, ooh. Here, oh, I gotta make sure I read it quick. I know it's on the screen, but I can't say it out loud if it's got anything bad in there. Here lays a woman who wishes to rule them all. Please come have some fun under the watchful eye of the mistress, accepting all new and old players. Oh, that's saucy. In fact, that's too saucy for me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to decline that. That's just a little too much for me. Too hot for my blood. Good mistress, enjoy your time ruling over everybody, but that's not my bag. Alright, Flow Rider, what do we got? See, this is one thing that I never really understood, is that they give you a couple of quests where you need to deliver dead bodies to somebody. And they kind of have like a daisy, so like if you're pushing daisies kind of scenario, where you're giving the flowers to somebody. I think the idea that your character is out on the field, finds these dead bodies, and then just decides like, okay, well, I'm just going to throw them up on my shoulder, and I'm going to trek back with these dead bodies, proceed to drag said dead bodies throughout all of the castle, go to Falkbrida here, and then said, here you go, here's your dead bodies. It's just a little too much. Alright, so we get a bracelet of healing and a bracelet of casting. I think a majority of what I've got so far has been casting, so I'm going to grab something for healing. Alright, so the Gift of Eternity. We've got Falkbrida awaiting the commencement of the operation with barely concealed rage. He's not happy. And this is where I realize my folly. Falkbrida is not a he. As I break my glasses, Falkbrida is a she. As I break my glasses, my headset, all of that, just to give you a really crappy CSI Miami type of situation. So I'm trying my best to leave the chat up for you guys, so when the dialogue is going through, I'm not a really super quick reader, so I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I think what I'll end up doing is, even if I'm done reading it, I'm going to leave it up for what I think is an appropriate time for just about anybody to take a look at it and be able to read what's there and know what's going on, because one thing that I dislike if I'm watching someone stream, if I watch someone who's playing, is to just blow through the text. And sure, that can make it a little more fun if you're wanting to get back to the action, but I think it's more appropriate that if you are hoping to get your viewers to be engrossed in the story just as you're trying to, unless you don't really care about the story and you just want to fight things and level your characters, and then I guess you want to go role play with that mistress and her guild that just sent me the free company invite. If that's your thing, no judgment. You do you. But I know for me, I like to get the backstory behind it. I like to take part in side quests if possible, and I like to enjoy my time playing. Alright, so now we are going to make our way to that first checkpoint. Where are ya? There we are. So I guess while we're doing some traveling, now is a good time for me to go over some of the extra stuff that you may or may not know about it. just from reading and looking at the screen, but I'm a part of the server Zalera. The reason I'm part of the server Zalera is that it is one of the preferred servers at the moment that I had joined up. Alright, let's make this some fun. I was hoping to get like 3 or 4 there, but I'll take the 2, that's fine. So, in Final Fantasy XIV now, what they've got is, this was not an item that was in the past, so I'm happy to have it now. But if you're looking to transfer your character from one world to another, they try to make it so it's a little more attractive for you to go to servers that are not currently highly populated, in order to give a, I guess you could say, a reward or an incentive to join a lesser populated server. They go ahead and they bump up the rate of which you can increase, or excuse me, level your character, because experience gain is going to be a lot quicker. This is kind of going to be, you know, the crux of why I'm able to get through this as quickly as I'm able to get through it and unlock all of the classes, and why I'm essentially over-leveled for where I'm currently at in the main story, is because I'm getting, you know, significant experience increases here. I'm making double, if not triple. At one point in time it was 460% per monster I was killing, so it made leveling go a lot quicker. Now I think it's really cool again that they have those preferred servers that allows you to be able to, again, take characters who otherwise wouldn't be there, to go there to help. It helps boost the economy within that particular server, because now more items are being made, sold on the market. You're not having to wait forever when you are attempting to join up in an instance. And most importantly, especially if I'm going to, in the future, create a new character from scratch, perhaps maybe work with you guys to create a character and take your input. Be able to say, hey guys, you know, what do you want to level today? You know, what dungeons do you want to go, and do that literally from the beginning of the game to figuring out, you know, what world do you want to start in? Do you want to start in Gridania? Do you want to make your way to Ul'dah? What would you like to do? I refuse to go Limsa Limitsa. I'm sorry guys, it's great for the markets, but I prefer to be either in Gridania or Ul'dah, but I take that back. If you guys want to be in Limsa Limitsa, we'll be there. And then essentially just kind of do a let's play, where you guys can help me try to figure out what we're going to build if we build a character together. Alright, we got the final checkpoint now. Alright. On to the last one now. will admit there's one feature that I miss here that I really enjoyed when I played back before. I mean, really, the last time that I played was, I think Heavensward was just on the brink of getting released, and it's been a long time, you know. I remember, though, that you were able to take skills from other classes that you had and other jobs that you had and be able to mix them to kind of create your own special kind of character and class. And I kind of miss that, because a paladin, for me, you know, I think of a paladin and I say, you know, maybe perhaps they have some healing abilities, if not just for themselves, perhaps maybe for some of the party members as well. Very minor. And I'm not sure if they've changed that to where I just haven't unlocked the skill yet. Maybe perhaps there is a skill that allows you to be able to heal. But I know that I was able to take skill from Conjure over to the Paladin to be able to use. Alright, so everything's going to the 7 hells now.
Damn them. They have made thralls of soldiers and civilians both.
Thancred to the rescue. This is when we find out that our ninja friend can really hold her own in battle. We had no idea until now.
So that is how you fight in the Far East. Mental note, pick no quarrel with Domans. But seriously, if I am to keep up, I must needs forsake elegance for efficiency.
I feel like we're getting into like a freestyle battle dance between Ujiri and Thancred. I feel like we're gonna be doing like some kind of like tag your man, and we're gonna have to tag someone in. They're gonna be doing their dance off. They're gonna be break dancing, taking down all the bad guys.
To the Aetheryte.
All right, to the Aetheryte. I'd love to be, you know, part of like a sound crew for a game as it's being built. Who thought that, you know, that they should sound like that? And I want to be, you know, I want to be introduced to a person whose job is to sit in front of a microphone and basically figure out how a particular monster should sound. He or her, whoever the individual is, just be able to sit there and be...
You'll forgive me my lateness.
All right. Merylwood Streep, showing that she is an absolute
'Tis high time I set about making amends.
bad woman.
Long have you shriveled Swordwalkers, tormented our kind. But no more! Your time is at an end! You shall perish with salt in your wounds and sea in your lungs. Lord of of the world, hearken to our plea. Lord of the world, deliver us from our misery.
Do you feel that?
It's the haiku hour. Actually, no, poetry slam. I think something big is coming.
I know this sensation. It's the echo.
What?
Ah! Such power! It is transcendent!
That's a way to end a confrontation. Just snipe them. Done. On to the next one. Oh,
7 hells.
Strike me down if you will. It is futile. I have mastered the gift. I am eternal. Oh, mighty Leviathan, ruler of the seas, born of waters primordial, I offer unto you this frail flesh, that you might grant your faithful servants deliverance. I beseech you, come forth!
Die, damn you!
that doesn't get old.
Foolish shorewalker! You cannot kill that which is eternal!
But we can give it our best damn shot.
Heavens forfend. Damn it all!
By me, am the way. It should by right. Am I not immortal? Curse you, emissary! You promised me everlasting.
Not a good way to go. You would hope that you would have a little bit more of a cooler deathline than Shah.
Where did he go?
What say you? Nary a single ship? Hells take that sea demon! Gather the survivors and get to shore. Leave the wrecks for the pirates. Leviathan wastes no time. The diversionary squadron is lost. For a mercy, 'twould seem the Primal now makes for open sea. But why does he not press his advantage? God save us. He means to unleash a tidal wave.
All right. We're gonna go into the heart of the Worrell. Alright, back to the command room we go. I think what we'll end up doing is we will make our way through the Leviathan battle, and then once we're done with that, I think what we'll do is we'll call it quits, at least for this stream. We'll test out a couple of the extra features that I've got lined up, get some of my other screens that I need to test out, make sure that they're in working order, and then we will pick it back up tomorrow on Monday when I have my next scheduled stream, which I believe will be going up at 5:30. A timer will count down for about 30 minutes, letting everybody know that we're going to be going on. The goal is to start at 6 and basically go until 9 or 10 is going to be the hope.
There used to be a hamlet beyond South Tidegate in western Lanosha. Hearthstone it was called. Some years prior to the Maelstrom's founding, Leviathan rose from the briny depths and set about unleashing watery hell upon us. On that occasion, the Company of Heroes put him down before he could do too much damage. But when the bastard came next, this time in the wake of the calamity, we were not so fortunate. Weary of ravaging our shoreline, he summoned a tidal wave which fair leveled Hearthstone and washed the soil away for good measure.
The area was subsequently occupied by the Sahagin.
Aye, the thrice-damned creatures transformed it into a spawning ground for their brood. Given the quantity of crystals stolen to feed him and his legion of thralls, we can be fairly sure that Leviathan is stronger now than in his previous incarnations. If that sea demon is left to wreak havoc, what befell Hearthstone may well befall a larger settlement. That cannot happen. The primal must be stopped.
That was ever our objective, Admiral. But how are we to achieve it? The sea is Leviathan's uncontested domain. The ships of the 3rd Squadron could not close to within 100 yards of the primal, nor could their cannons pierce his defenses.
I have read the reports, Master Thancred. Our warships may as well have been bloody pleasure barges for all the good they did. 7 hells! Is there no way that we might strike back?
The Company of Heroes defeated Leviathan, having first lured him into an inlet, but we must needs contend with him upon the open sea. It will avail us little to consult past experience.
Admiral, if I may.
Speak freely, Marshal.
By all accounts, Leviathan's most formidable weapon is the very sea itself. Waves and whirlpools, tides and currents, all these things are his to command. The key to victory, I believe, lies in disarming our foe. This, in effect, is what the Company of Heroes achieved with their ruse. We cannot lure Leviathan from the sea a second time. But what if we could weaken his hold upon the element of water? I have heard of devices capable of such wonders. They draw upon the power of corrupted crystals, I am told. If mounted upon a ship, such a device might be used to prevent Leviathan from bringing the full force of the sea to bear against us, rendering him no more dangerous than any other sea serpent.
Of course! Sid built a similar device to grant the Enterprise safe passage through Garuda's Tempest, did he not?
Begging...
Oh, sorry about that.
It makes little difference
Preemptive
who thought of
click.
it first, so long as it works. Beg the specifications of this device from your friend, and I shall pass them on to our people at Naldic and Vermelis. But before we proceed any further, I would voice one concern. Piercing Garuda's defenses is one thing. Suppressing Leviathan's attacks, quite another. In matters of science, I am as a babbling babe. But I cannot well imagine that such a feat would be possible without a veritable mountain of corrupted crystals. The question being, do we have a ship big enough to bear such a burden?
Mayhap not, Admiral, but two might. Recall you the tale of Mistbeard's greatest haul? It is said that he lashed two ships together, side by side, the better to bear his plunder. By your leave, we might attempt to repeat the trick. The gods know it would be quicker than building a new vessel.
Mistbeard did this. Truly, Marshal, upon the subject of the Pirate King, you are as a scholar.
Now, from what I have gleaned of these matters, the device will need to be in close and constant proximity to the target. To wit, we must lash our twin vessel to Leviathan. This in itself will be no small feat. Ramming speed will be required, but given the weight of the cargo, that will only be attainable with the aid of a towing vessel. Suffice it to say, the task of piloting said vessel will entail considerable danger, and I would not ask it of another. I volunteer myself.
Twill be dangerous for all involved, but we have no better recourse. Very well. Commodore, assemble the remnants of the fleet at Morabee Bay. Give priority to our soundest vessels. The repairs can wait. Storm Marshal Slafirson, command of the operation is yours. I want that twin vessel ready to sail post-haste.
At once, Admiral.
And then there is the small matter of slaying the beast. The fate of Limsa Lominsa rests upon your shoulders once again. Go well, warrior of light.
We will. And thank you. Merlwood Street. A man appears to have defeated Leviathan. Who is this mystery man? All right. We'll make our way to the Morabee Dry Docks, find our way to the Grey Fleet. Would help if I knew where I was going. We'll go the long way. So I don't have many mounts at the moment on this guy. I will say though that the Magitech armor is probably one of my favorites regardless. I'm a fan of the music that plays with it, harkens back to older Final Fantasies of yore. I think that it's a different experience. Flying, obviously, is pretty fun in this game as well. We won't get to that until we're through, or at least within the Heavenward content, but we still got a little while to go on a realm, anew or reborn, or whatever the 7th Astral Era quest line is called officially. That's one thing that never seems to not happen, is when you go and you need to talk to a NPC and someone's either on the same, I guess, storyline quest as you, or you happen to be coincided with a previous quest that goes to the same NPC, that they always seem to stand right in front of the NPC and prevent you from immediately clicking on it, so you have to walk around like I just did to be able to contact them. Now we've got Tractoem here, who is our friend from a long time ago when you were going through the Marauder Guild quest. And he turns out to be an absolute faker. He's someone who makes himself off to be one of the company heroes who does these great feats of strength. So you know who this individual is if you have done the Marauder quest. And there you go. So he knows who you are, and it's just more tall stories. What a gigantic waste of time. So he always has a way of convincing people to do his chores and duties that he needs to do. The twin vessel is now complete. So our little journey, unfortunately, although for naught, bought us just enough. Oh, you can actually play triple triad with him. That is another one of the side things, again, when I talked before about how it's really cool that there are these extra items in the game that you can unlock, and triple triad's one of them. It's a fun little side quest that you can really just travel around the entire world of Eorzea and be able to run into NPCs that you can battle in this card game. So triple triad originally took place in Final Fantasy VIII, and it was probably one of my favorite features of the entire game. And I know some people have very strong opinions about Final Fantasy VIII, but I think for all of its merits and all of its faults, I think one of the more fun items that came out of that game was Triple Triad. It was very similar to Gwent from the Witcher series in a sense to where it kind of became its own, its own thing. I know for years, I'm not sure if it's still around anymore, but I know for a while, actually, as I'm saying that, I'm not sure why I'm getting too into talking about Triple Triad with you guys. I'm completely passing up turning in the quest, so I'll have to turn back around. But I know for a while that there was a Triple Triad online game. It was essentially, we're talking like AOL, dial-up time, where you would download this game and you'd play other people online, and it was the best thing that we had at the time. It was not pretty, but it got the job done if you wanted to play with people online and not just against NPCs in Final Fantasy VIII. And this took this to that level to where you really, really end up enjoying, of course, with the different playstyles that's there too. All of that is there. It's really just one of my favorite parts of the game. Now that I think about that, perhaps that'll be another game that I possibly stream with you guys, is that we can look into getting the Gwent card game, because that was another really, really fun part of the Witcher series that I enjoyed playing. So, I know one thing that I am really curious to eventually take on is going to be the Blue Mage quest, and to unlock all the different monster abilities and be able to do that. I played Final Fantasy XI back in the day as well, and that was one of my favorite classes to take on. So I'm excited to do that, but unfortunately it's not included as a full class here. It's taken on as, I believe, a single player class. I don't think you're able to take part in dungeons using the Blue Mage class, but I know I'm just something, again, it's kind of nostalgia. I want to be able to enjoy it, and I want to be able to take part in reliving those experiences from Final Fantasy XI days of yore. Alright, so we're going to go into the Horror Eater hard. And now everyone's favorite time in Final Fantasy XIV is punch. Sorry, it would help if I actually had the microphone in front of my mouth when I'm trying to talk to you guys. Is to press a button and wait. It's my favorite time. So I think one, or at least another item that I'm looking forward to taking on in the near future, it might be boring to some people, but for me, I know that I found it pretty interesting, is doing the Disciples of the Hand and Disciples of the Land to be able to, because I had maxed out Blacksmith when I had my previous account. Again, this is before the first expansion pack for Final Fantasy XIV. It was a great moneymaker at the time for you to be able to do that and sell equipment that you could make. I think that's going to be like I'll try and limit that unless there's actual requests from you guys as to wanting to take on and to do fishing, for a while. But that's really going to be more if we're going to have maybe like a one-on-one kind of situation where I'm going to talk to you guys maybe about my feelings about the game, maybe perhaps about gaming in general. And that's a good time for that, because you're going to be doing mindless task after mindless task, going from places, catching different fish, or perhaps gathering different things, or crafting different things. It's not super exciting like I'm sure it would be to go through, the dungeons, the instances, to go through the primal battles. All of that is a hell of a lot more fun for you guys than it is to go through watching me fish for a while. So We'll try and do that. You know, this is, this is fun. I enjoy doing this. Power couple, right? Power couple is a combination of myself and my fiance Stephanie. We're both gamers. We're both big-time nerds. I know she's a bit more of a comic book nerd than a video game nerd. I'm more of a video game nerd than I am a comic book nerd. We kind of bridge the gap together in terms of that nerdiness, and but she was more into the older games. She's more into the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo. She's more into games like that. But I know her newer real enjoyment is The Sims 4. And I know I'm super excited for her to stream for you guys. She's going to be doing Sims 4. I think she's going to try and do that on Sundays. We'll do a Sims 4 Sunday. I think that time is listed as being, I want to say 1 o'clock to at least 3 o'clock. She'll be going ahead and playing The Sims 4 for you guys. That's super fun. Really excited about her doing that. I know for me, like I said, a majority of what I'm going to do is probably going to be Final Fantasy XIV. I do have a couple of other important games to me. I know I might take on and do some Fallouts for you guys. I know, again, we'll try and see what the temperature of the room is, but whether or not, if it's New Vegas, if it's 3, if it's 4, Fallout is probably one of my more fun games that I like playing. We're ready to take on the Horror Leader. But I want to make sure that I'm playing games that allow you guys to be able to interact as well and to have a fun time. I know I'm a big Monster Hunter fan, so Monster Hunter World will be another one that I'm really eager to play with you guys. And now, the end is near. Like I said, once we're done taking on Leviathan, we will make our way to the end of the stream. I am subsequently pissing off everybody that is in this party because they are sitting there and waiting for me to get through the cutscene. So my apologies to everybody who is currently sitting and waiting for me to get through the cutscene. I promise I'll be there pretty soon. One thing I always kind of wish that they had you do is that if you picked one of the free companies, that you would salute them, based on what you do. So if you had the Yellow Jackets, if you had, the Gold Company, if you had whatever particular group you were a part of, that if you're doing this or if you're doing that, that you're able to watch your character salute back in the manner that falls to who you joined up on your time. Alright, so let's see, we got a Gunblade, we have a White Mage, we have an Astrologer, we've got a Monk, a Dragoon, a Dancer, and a Black Mage. Alright. Would help if I put on Iron Will. Alright, so I'm going to take the position of the secondary tank here because of the fact that the other tank seems to be focused on the main boss here, so I'll take on the tail. Come on, guys. Let's take care of these. Alright, now it's go time. You know it's go time when you've got the music jamming up, ready to go. Alright. So Kelly Valentine seems to be doing a very good job handling Leviathan. We do have our dancer getting killed. Not because of me, thankfully. My apologies, dancer. Now, uh-oh, our white mage is gone. It's not looking good, guys. We're gonna need someone to pick this up. Alright, so our astrologer is still alive. I gotta try and keep myself alive long enough. Alright. There we go. We did it. Alright. Things were not looking good there for a second, guys, but it looked like we were able to get through it. It is nice that even now, you know, the hard versions. Yes, that was a tough one, Nighty Night. Thanks all. Great party. Alright, we've got Zozo Kubi, Nanakubi saying Roger Moore, best 007. Agree. Alright. And we got a commendation. Thank you very much for that person who gave me a commendation. Alright, now we can get back to Marylwood Street. Back over in the Limsa Lominsa command room. And so, the end is near. Alright. Ooh, Xanthiel winked at us. I didn't know. Alright, we're all here.
We Lominsans are sworn to strive, till sea swallows all. And swallow all it would have, had Leviathan prevailed. That we still strive now, we owe in no small part to you. Not for the first time, you have delivered Limsa Lominsa from the wrath of a primal. Never has our nation known a stouter ally. On behalf of my people, I give you my humblest thanks. 'Tis meet that I give thanks to old Mistbeard, too, for his fine solution. Whatever else he may have been, 'tis clear he was a resourceful soul. Would that I had a man like him in my service.
But you do.
Before
Dropping
I set
hints.
foot in these lands, I had no inkling that the people of Eorzea contended with such mighty foes. Suffice it to say, their existence came as something of a shock, as did the idea that they could be defeated. This experience has served to remind me of the vastness of the world, and the boundless potential of man. Though I am but a refugee in this realm, I would fain be of use to you in your fight. Know that I am tutored in one of the foremost combat arts of the Far East. It may seem outlandish to the Eorzean eye, but should any of your people care to learn, I would be pleased to initiate them.
And I will see to it that they are grateful. I have no doubt that your knowledge and skills will serve us well. Besides, your art is not so outlandish as you think. Would you not agree, Master Thancred?
Naught escapes your searching eye, Admiral. Few are privy to this information, but Limsa Lominsa is home to a certain secret fraternity. Its members are trained in a form of combat not unlike your own. By my judgment, it should not be beyond such
talking about
individuals
rogues.
to adapt to the techniques I witnessed you employing with such admirable deftness.
I'm assuming she's going to be considered a ninja, which is the next step forward from rogue, or at least one of the
I'm
jobs that you
heartened
can
to hear
take
this.
on.
I too noted a kinship between your style and mine own, though it seemed to me that you fought differently in the beginning.
I suppose I did. What can I say? I'm a man of many talents.
Though you may labor to believe it, Thancred was once something of a scoundrel who fraternized with the criminal class in these parts.
Yestola! You jest, of course.
Why are you blowing up his spot like that,
But for a
Y'shtola?
chance encounter with Alphino's grandsire, he might never have left Limsa Lominsa, or received an education in Sharlayan, or taken up his post in Uldar, which is where he trained in the blade, lest you wonder.
Minfilia, please!
Everyone knows Thancred.
It would
You
seem
got
there
that
is
double
more to
neck
you than
tattoo
meets the
going
eye,
on.
Master Thancred.
We know that you've got a bad streak about you, man.
Lady
We know that you don't play
I
around.
am told that you and yours came to Eorzea seeking permanent resettlement, and that many domins have since been engaged as frontier hands at Revenant's Toll. Moderna is many things, but a place of refuge it is not. Know that I would like nothing better than to furnish your people with a new home here on Lominsan soil. Alas, racked by instability as we are, our nation is in no fit state to take you in.
Which unfortunately is
Yet
what
I'll not
Ulda
have it
basically
that
said
we
as
turned
well.
a blind eye to your suffering. Until such time as we can do more, I pledge to send provisions.
So for this part of the storyline, we've got
We are in your debt,
Yujiri's
Admiral.
people
I realize
coming
that it
by
scarce
boat
qualifies
over
as
to
repayment,
Horizon.
but
You
if it
meet with
please
Yujiri,
I shall set
and
about sharing
essentially
my
she wants to
martial
go
knowledge with your
to
people at
Ulda
once.
in order to be able to beg basically to get her people to stay within the gates of Ulda to allow them to have, you know, some form of sanctuary. Unfortunately, they can't do that, but you work with the Flames
You wished a word in private.
in order to allow them to go to a place, and you end up going on Mordana, and that's where they currently stand at the moment.
The better not to spoil the
You
festive
make your
mood.
way over to Limsa Lominsa, you handle this, and now
History repeats
unfortunately
itself, Admiral.
they even
As
go
the
out of their way to
kobolds
say,
did
sorry,
before
we
them,
can't
the
house you,
Sahagin
but
resorted
we
to
can at least
summoning
give
their
you
god over a territorial
provisions.
feud. They acted in self-preservation. It may be that the Sahagin initiated this particular clash, But how it begins does not interest me so much as how it ends.
I have not forgotten our conversation, Y'shtola. I am aware that man bears part of the blame for the Primal's existence. Nor am I ignorant of the Sahagins' reason for acting. They sought to secure a place to breed and multiply that their kind might survive. Self-preservation, as you say. But we have as much right to live and thrive as they. If our own survival is threatened, are we to lay down our arms and welcome oblivion? Nay.
And so you kill, that you might live. Yet if living is a right, then that right belongs to all peoples, be they men or beastmen.
Which makes it really cool that you can join and do quests for the Beastmen tribes, and you can go to each of the different Beastmen tribes
but when a
and
storm
do quests
gathers,
with them
it falls to
and
me
gain
to see my
favor. You
people
start off
safely
neutral,
through it.
you can become in positive favor to them. It just goes to show that not all of the
As must we
Beastmen
all, Admiral.
and
Stay
not
the
all
course,
of the
then,
monsters that are
but
in this
know that it
game.
will lead to no good end.
It just goes to show that there are good factions and bad factions, so it's not all just bad. It just gives a different dimension to some of the, monsters that you end up fighting here.
Man has ever put himself first and foremost. To justify his actions, he clads himself in the armor of righteousness, though it be a fancy of his own making. In this, mayhap the Garleans and we Domans are not so different.
Eorzea has become as a raging sea. If we are to keep our heads above the waves, we cannot scruple to drown the man next to us. When hopes of coexistence founder, strength must determine who has the greater right to live.
Alright. Lord of the Whirl is complete. We get to pick our prize. For me, honestly, I really want to continue to push the Gladiator class, so I'm going to go with the Break Blade. The quest is complete, which means that my time with you is nearing to an end. So let me go ahead and wrap up, make sure all of the loose ends are tied here, make sure that I know that this is where we're going to take it back up when we get back in, unless, of course, I do some extra playing on the side. I know that this is where I will wind up the next time that I log in. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and slip back to that opening screen for you guys. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Thank you very much for being here with me. Again, this is the first stream that I personally have ever done on Twitch in general ever. It's the first stream for Power Couple. I know that I am very thankful for those who did tune in with me tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. So what's going to happen is that we are going to cut out. You'll be able to see our schedule. Please follow, subscribe, make your way over to YouTube. We have some videos over there. We also have our videos on demand right here on Twitch. Our schedule is listed. If we're offline, it'll be listed there. It's also listed on the bottom of this stream as well. Essentially what we're looking at is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the days that I will be with you guys. I try to do that after work, so my workday comes to an end normally around 5. I try to make sure that I'm able to say, okay, 5:30 comes around, I put up the notification for you guys, give it about a half hour so everyone can get together. 6 p.m. comes around, and we are ready to roll. I try to go until about 9 o'clock if we can, 10 o'clock if I'm feeling good about going there a little bit further. But I'm super excited about the opportunity to enjoy my love and passion of video games and being that nerd that I talked to you guys about. I want to be able to share that with you, and I'm really looking forward to that with you. So with that said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in this evening. My name is Joe, and this was a live stream of Power Couple. Have a good night.